Meeting to order, the South Kingstown School Building Committee, Thursday, February 5th, call to order at 8:02. And we have Brian Sylvia. Here. Dave Palizzetti.
Here.
Mike
Please.
Pedraza, sorry.
No worries.
I know a Mike Palizzetti, so that screwed me up, sorry. Kate Massinanti, good. Luke Murray. Here. Chip McGarr.
Here.
Terry Lynch.
Here.
Jim Manny.
Here.
And Liam Lynch.
Here.
Thank you very much. We have left field, we have Slam, and we have Gilbane. So let's get started. I'd love to do a hard stop at 8:45 if we could, because we all have to go to work. I have nothing as far as public correspondence that has come my way. So we'll move on to business item number 3, discussion action recommendation for approval of change order task force requests.
All right, good morning, everybody. So the first order we have on our agenda is an update for the change order task force. We had a few accepted items at our last meeting and a few items that were tabled today pending more information. The first being alternates 2 and 3. So those are relating to wall finishes throughout various areas of the building. Request was made for additional pricing of alternate materials. So exploring the different tiers that are available, whether it goes from a abuse-resistant drywall to a wall protection, or from a wall protection to a ceramic tile. So I broke those out. Originally, alternate 2 was wall protection in lieu of painted abuse-resistant drywall in the common corridors. Additional pricing was requested for ceramic tile. We have not yet received that pricing back from Gilbane, so I'm going to ask that we table this to the next meeting, because we had also moved it to the following town council meeting based off of just the length of the agenda. Alternate 3 was to provide wall protection throughout the classroom tower corridor in lieu of painted drywall. We also requested additional pricing for ceramic wall tile in those areas. So again, we are waiting for that additional pricing from Gilbane and be able to present that at the next meeting. So at this point, requesting no action being taken on those 2 items. Alternate number 8 was also tabled to today's meeting, and that is for a deduct for the PVC material for underground sanitary lines or under slab sanitary lines in lieu of cast iron. That was requested to have additional exploration with the building department and the engineering department with the town to ensure that they were okay with making that change. Additional conversations were had with the site civil engineer also, who, and Mark, if you want to come and expand on it, the correspondence that I was copied on, all of those parties were accepting of taking this deduct. And that is a deduct to our contract of $68,416. Anything else you want to add? Yeah. Okay.
So just to clarify, for today's purpose, we can act on this, but it's just for Alt 8.
Just Alt 8, yeah. We're going to come back once we get the pricing back from Gilbane for alternates 2 and 3 and the variations thereof.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions or comments on this?
I thought we approved 8, provided that the building committee approved it. So I think it's already been approved.
Okay, so we took action on it in our last meeting.
Okay, good. So as long as the language supports that, then I'm fine with that. I wasn't sure if we needed an additional action on that.
We're just pending the building Yeah, it was conditional on the building committee, or building inspector, so.
Okay,
Good memory.
perfect.
Thank you.
Yes, glad
want
we
to be
got that
president?
clarification.
No.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, yeah, so we can, we'll bring that item back on our next meeting going forward. I'm assuming we'll probably want that like as a standing item going forward as we continue to move through the project.
Yeah, hopefully we don't have change orders every 2 weeks, but I think it's okay to have it as a standing item.
Okay. Okay, so item number 4, discussion action recommendation, excuse me, for requesting approval to obtain a temporary variance for site work hours.
Mark, I'll ask you to come up and speak to this one with Luke.
Good morning, everyone. So this item pertains to when we get to the point in the contract when we're going to be pouring the concrete slabs for the various levels of the building, floors 2 and 3, as well as the floor slab. What happens on a pour typically is it runs a lot later than the work a regular normal day. You're doing about a 13 to 15,000 square foot pour, so by the time the concrete gets poured and sets up hard enough for us to get on it to finish it, it usually takes a while. So we found in the past that it has dragged on well into the evening/night, sometimes till say 11 o'clock kind of a thing, depending on weather. Concrete is definitely temperature sensitive, so the colder it is, the longer it takes for it to get to that point where we can get on it. Knowing that we're going to be doing this in March and what the weather is around here, the chances are very high that it's going to probably take a little while for the concrete to set up. So in the past on previous projects, we've gotten ahead of it, gone to the town, gotten approval to work a little bit later during this one particular phase, so that when it happens, we're covered and we're not scrambling around trying to deal with it at that time. So this request is trying to get ahead of this with the town for approval to work a little bit past the existing timeframes that we have for construction, which I believe is 9 o'clock. Now, that's not to say we are definitely going to need it, and then there's a chance that we'll finish by 9 o'clock, but I think we want to have ourselves set up and approved to move forward during this one particular phase of the project to be able to work a little bit later if needed.
And Mark, just to clarify, you're just talking about finishing the concrete. You'd expect the trucks would be out of there well before? Well before,
yeah. So, from a noise perspective or from a visual perspective, we're going to have lights on because obviously we need to see. So there'll be temporary lighting stands that are lit up because we won't have our regular temporary lighting set up by then. So there'll be some light stands, so there'll be light issues. We have the concrete finishing equipment, rides along the top of the concrete and smooths it out and finishes it. It's kind of the equivalent of, say, like a drive-around lawnmower, kind of a thing. That will be ongoing, as well as the guys and stuff that are there. So it's not a heavy equipment kind of thing, backup and beeper noises. It's not demolition, it's not banging, it's just the running of these concrete finishing equipment pieces.
Mark, how many days are you looking at, do you know?
So it's throughout the entire project, it's probably, maybe 12 pours spread out over time, but it's a one-night deal for each of those pours. So it's not a consistent kind of a thing. We're in the middle of putting together the schedule that we'll be able to present kind of when we think it's going to happen. Now it's construction, so things change all the time. So it'll be a rough idea of, when we're anticipating we're going to need to do this work. But it'll be, 6 nights, 12 nights. But it'll be spread out over months, kind of a thing.
Am I good?
Yep.
All right. Mark brought this to my attention the other day. I've reached out to the solicitor. My original impression, we have a construction activities ordinance. We don't have a noise ordinance. So construction activities can occur from 7 to 9, but after that, it effectively acts like a noise ordinance. We would need, obviously, relief from that. I reached out to the solicitor's office. They've advised that unlike a zoning ordinance, council can't just issue a kind of a variance to this. So the approach we're taking is I've spoken to the manager on this. We need to adhere to our own ordinances. We're adamant about that. We issue notice of violations to others. We're accountable. However, this is a special project, right, and for the town. So what we're doing is we're going to go back and revise the ordinance to allow any project that's awarded by the town on town property would be eligible to exceed that ordinance, provided that reasonable public notice is given. So we will be responsible to issue flyers, do a radius, kind of like we've done, continually communicate with clear expectations. So things like, 12 nights expectation, potential noise levels, et cetera, a reasonable cutoff time. So I wouldn't expect that we're going to be out there at 2 in the morning.
No.
So I would say, if it's a midnight or 11 o'clock, we need to state that. So my ask would be, I'm working it on this end, and I've spoken to the manager about it. I'll do my part to get this on order of notice for the 23rd with passage on I think it's the 9th is our March meeting. I'll have to go back. But your part is public notice, right? Getting that together and getting ready, because if you're looking to do this in March, we need to line everything up. But that's sort of the process going forward from here. As long as also I did recommend that the building committee weigh in on this and recommend whatever the plan is. So again, I would come forward maybe next meeting with a clear action plan with the abutters notice to pass by the committee.
Is there any sort of precedent for the time frame in which that public notice needs to be issued? Is it a week beforehand, 2 weeks beforehand?
No, we kept the language. At this point, I'm still talking to the solicitor, but fairly loose on that, right? It says reasonable. So what's
Okay.
reasonable? I would say a couple weeks to allow everyone to know that it's coming and prepare work schedules and whatnot. I would consider that reasonable.
Okay.
Unreasonable would be 2 days before the project starts.
Understood. I wasn't sure if there was a defined period in which we
Sure.
needed to maintain that notice.
Yep.
So my question would be, it's kind of for both. So first, I'll share my concern, which I've already shared with you. We clearly made it clear to the town that we were going to stay within our ordinances, right? And this is stepping out of it. So it's good that we need to do this. If we don't, it puts the project in jeopardy, and we're not willing to do that. I appreciate the transparency around it all and doing everything we need to do to kind of get it in line, but also keeping in mind that it's going to impact our abutters pretty significantly. It's kind of like the leaf blower on Sunday morning. Like, why are you running that at 6 a.m. or at 11 o'clock at night? So I appreciate you starting this conversation early. So question is, once you start the process, is there kind of like a firm start and a firm end and I don't mean like March 1st to March 29th, and if it's the 30th, we're screwed. I'm just saying, is it a month? Is it 2 months? Like what is that time frame so we can set clear expectations?
So that's what we're in the middle of putting together. We'll put together a schedule for you as part of what this is. The first pour, I can tell you, is probably the end of March, but I mean, it goes in with big windows in between, into May kind of a thing. I think the bottom slab, the floor slab gets poured maybe June, July kind of a thing. So, but it is, there's going to be, time in between we do these pours. And there's 12 of them, so if there's a week or two in between, that's kind of gives you an idea of what we're talking about here. Proactively, we are, there is another step to the concrete process where after it is finished and ready, you need to saw cut it, and there's a lot of projects ask you to do that within a time frame. A lot of times it's within an 8-hour window. We've gone ahead proactively and asked the engineers of the project and gotten their approval to have a 24-hour window to perform that particular thing. And that's where a lot of the noise is when you're saw cutting. So we've gotten approval to do that 24 hours after you finish your pour. So that will allow us to do it the next day, during the day, outside of this window we're talking about. So, I mean, we're doing everything we can to try to mitigate whatever items we can do to reduce the time frame. And this isn't a definite. I mean, this, we could very well be done by 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whatever it may be. These early pours, it's just going to be a little bit colder out there. It's going to take a little while. We just want to get out in front of it so we don't have a, lack of a better word, cease and desist kind of a thing, and we're losing a week or 2 or 3 getting this all figured out. We're just trying to get ahead of it now. And I think the later pours, we probably won't have a problem with it because it's going to be in the warmer weather, and hopefully the things, everything will set up quicker.
So
Mark, can you just, it might help to speak on what the impact of the equipment is, the noise, when you're floating it, edging it, the finishing of the concrete, what machinery is going to, it might help bring some context to the conversation.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, I mean, they have hand machines that are kind of like floor polishers, to give you a visual if you haven't seen it, kind of a thing. So it's like a big floor polishing machine that's running around, not very noisy. They have, they'll also be on like machines that they ride around to do it, that are more like in the lawnmower kind of thing. I mean, we're not talking a lot of noise here. We have plenty of distance between the work area and the actual houses themselves. We can certainly put a noise meter on it and determine what the decibel levels will be to give everybody a little better confidence on what we're talking about. We can do that ahead of time so that we can get out in front of it and publish that maybe to what the decibel level is, the equivalent of running a vacuum or the equivalent of, that kind of stuff that when we did the geothermal drilling, kind of the same concept. We can do that here too.
So then my follow-up question about the notice is, do we need one notice 2 weeks before all the pours start, or will there be a requirement to have a notice before each pour?
We should have a notice before each pour. So once again, Luke and I have talked about this. The ordinance are there, and they are enforced by our building inspector, so that's why we're not going to stray outside of that. We'll just go, it would be the same as if a contractor was building a building that wasn't connected to the town. But the more, we're very sensitive to these residents that are there. Lighting, noise, I mean, there have been complaints of disruption, and I get it, we anticipated that, but we do have to go above and beyond with what we're going to let the residents know when it's coming. Social media, signs, you name it, we'll do it, but it should be before every pour so they can prepare for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Mark, I just expect that the question will come up, well, can you do half a floor, or can you reduce it? So you're going to want to address control joints, cold joints, disruption to flooring because of that, and, additional costs for additional pump days and things like that. So I'd just be ready for that.
Yeah, I mean, you just hit on it. You can do a lot of things, right? But with construction, everything comes down to time and money. So we can do it any which way. It's just a question of how much that's going to cost and how much that would delay things.
I think time, on time, on budget is one of the top priorities of the town council.
Right.
I asked that same question yesterday, could we cut it in half? But that would probably mean 18 or 24 pours, right?
Right.
Which would probably delay it, am I right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so just give us what you need to do to keep this where we need it, and then we'll work it out with the town council and bring it to the 10th. We're going to put it on the 23rd, Luke, is that when we're doing it? Yeah.
For the order of notice, 23rd, and then passage. Just be advised, it is a public hearing. So, there's that component of it. What I recommend on top of that, just from a technical standpoint, one blanket notice to start that would go out early. Like, this is coming, we'll notify you when the pours are happening to set expectations. And then prior to those pours, within a week, I would say, issue it out and saying, that way they're aware of the exact date as we get them. Fair enough?
So kind of anticipating hard questions as we go into this hearing, I guess one thing that we should be prepared to answer also is if we were to pour and the concrete were not at a point where it was cured enough to finish it, what would happen if we needed to stop at 9 p.m. when that ordinance takes place? No, I know, but what I think we
Doesn't let you stop.
but I think we need to be able to be prepared to answer that why this is so critical, because it impacts quality.
Strength, quality.
Yes.
So do you need action from us on this now or in our next meeting? Okay, so I'm glad we're talking about it now, and it can prepare people to ask hard questions, and we just need to be prepared to answer hard questions. And at the end of the day, the impact, if you don't do it right, is actually clearly louder noise at a later date, and redoing, and time, and money. And so we want to do it right the first time, and we want to stay on time and on budget. So we'll do what we can to make it work, but also understand that we have to be sympathetic and compassionate when we're dealing with our abutters.
Do we know when the next time we're meeting is? And the reason I'm bringing that up is because it sounds like something for the town council on the 23rd related to this, and I wasn't sure when we're meeting next, because our 2 weeks from now is during the school break.
Well, the 23rd would be just the order of notice, which just means that they're approving to put an advertisement out. So if it's, we would really need more of the recommendation for the following meeting of early March.
But they are coming to the meeting on the 9th, this Monday.
Yep.
So we could put it out there for then and give the town council the timeline of when we're going to be doing this.
Yeah, we could at least give them notification.
Give them a heads
I think
up.
You're referring to a vote from the building committee,
Well,
right?
Kate had asked if we have to do any action right now, and so I just don't want to mess with the timeline, because typically we would be meeting 2 weeks from today, right? But that's during the school break, and I understand like town council doesn't operate on that schedule, but typically things that involve the school do. So
Yeah. So I think to the
it
manager's
doesn't mean we
point.
can't have it during the break. I'm just bringing that to your attention. Because
Yeah, I think we'll be okay. I think from the manager's point, we can give them a heads up now. We'll do the order of notice that just gets a placeholder. And then when we go for the hearing and the actual hearing of the ordinance, by that point, we really need to have that recommendation in place, which would be the second Monday in March.
So then for that piece, we would need the recommendation by March 9th.
Correct.
So we'd want to meet on March 5th as our next,
Yes.
okay.
Okay, thank
So-
you.
Just as a point of clarification, for Monday's construction update as part of the town manager's report, are we reporting on this on Monday, or that
Well,
was?
it's already, by us meeting today, it's already out there.
Yeah.
So, they watch it, they watch the meetings, because they, a lot of them can't attend because they're working, but, so I would put it out there. I would definitely let them, they're going to know what we talked about today, so let's just make them aware of it, tell them what the plan is. I'll talk to them beforehand. I'll put it in every Friday, I send them weekly updates. I'll let them know again.
Okay.
And then Monday's meeting, it's going to be a packed meeting with other things. There's a lot of stuff on that agenda. So if you can keep that as concise as possible, we'll get you up there as soon as we can. But there are several things we have to address. It's going to be a big meeting.
Okay, so I'll put together a slide with a few bullet points that we can speak to.
Yes, and maybe a
As part of the
timeline of what Mark was talking about.
Yes.
Okay?
We can do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have any more questions before we move on? All right. Brings us to item number 5, discussion action, recommendation for approval of bid for Curtis Corner Middle School demo plan.
So we have a little bit of a pivot on this agenda item. As we discussed at our last building committee meeting, we did receive about 6 bids for the partial demolition with an alternate for the full building demolition. After meeting and discussing with this committee, the momentum towards full demolition was pretty strong. So in discussion with Luke and with Phil, we are looking to put another package on the street for only demolition, to be able to open it up to more contractors that maybe were not able to bid because of the partial demolition and the construction aspects that were going to be required with the partial demolition. So we are looking to get additional competitive bids and maybe take that price for full demolition with the alternates that we've received currently and bring that down even further. So I put together a timeline of what that looks like for us. So the advertisement has been submitted and the bids will hit the street for full demolition on the 6th. They'll be due on the 23rd. We would meet on March 5th as a building committee to review and provide a recommendation. Also, please note that the bids that we have received to date are still going to be valid at that time, so a decision is still available if we choose to do the partial demolition. That is still an available option, or to move forward with any of those bidders based off of the scope that they've provided. So that recommendation will be on March 5th, town council approval on March 9th, and then continuing to mobilize on schedule of the 16th. So we'll have them hit the ground running and get everything queued up and prepped after building committee. And once we know the recommendation that this committee is going to move forward in, we can make sure that we can hit the ground running pretty shortly after approval.
Anybody have any questions or comments on this?
I just asked the committee, is the appetite for the full demolition then? So should we vote on that? Should we make any? Okay. I'm also in support of it. I think it's a good idea what you did. But I also think if we are going to do that, we should further consider asking Studio Jade Slam to site the future storage / locker / whatever building we're going to do, so that the site work, when we get to that stage, includes getting utilities over to that area, at least electrical and water, so that we're not tearing things up in the future. And then we can sit back and at least have the site work, utilities done. That's my two-tiered recommendation.
I would ask that if we go in that direction, that we ask Phil additionally. My concern is that our existing buildings do not have storage. Broad Rock has 0 storage. This new high school contains minimal storage. We're sharing Asa Pond currently. I know we've released other properties recently so that the town can take those on. And so pivoting and doing a full demolition, even just something in terms of trying to save some of the materials that we have, such as, should we need to open other classrooms and having desks available at an elementary or a high school level, never mind all of the things that may or may not, or that may be usable or salvageable out of the current high school that could be used in other buildings. Our storage capacity is going to be very limited. And again, I know that's not the point of this project, but it was a consideration in terms of the current configuration and what would be able to be salvaged. We're losing that option, as well as other places to put it currently. So just something to consider on a district-wide. Because also our existing elementaries, also lack storage. So, and our one last site would be a historical, and not suitable. It's not suitable to put that type of material into the basement of the hazard building.
So I just want to identify, Kate, thank you for, I gotta acknowledge I was pretty biased on this one. I was really in favor of keeping that originally. And, just at least my thought was something's better than nothing. However, through this conversation, and you brought it to my attention, like, why not get this information, right? Why not base it on data, which is that additional pricing, which was helpful. So I've kind of evolved in that opinion. I actually think, with respect to the superintendent, the point of the project wasn't to create storage, it was to create a field house, right? If it's just going to get filled up and then become a dark box, that's not the intent. And it's clear to me that that may be the case. I think we need to clean things up and we need to kind of tidy things up. Maybe this is a win for that. But I just wanted to point out that you were the one to come, and that's why we have a team, different perspectives, and I think this is a good thing. Hopefully save us money, which we can hopefully put back into the site and doing some things that we weren't originally planning. So thank you.
To Luke's point there, just looking at the plans for the field and the track, just keep in mind, if we are going to run events there, division championships, whatever, class meets, whatever they may be, our throwing areas, which are up top now, I think are going to have to be improved. So if we can keep that in the back of our mind, if we do save some money, if we could put some of that money into that.
Anybody else have any other thoughts? You can go again.
I'll just make a motion to approve the full demolition of Curtis Corner Middle School.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Looks like we can go forward. So now, do we need a different action to go back out to bid, or is that just part of this?
I don't think we need action to go out to bid. We'll need action on March 5th when we come back with our recommendations after the bids are received.
Okay. And Michael, I appreciate you sharing your thoughts about storage and about all, because it's a valid concern. So we do want to make sure, maybe when in communicating with Phil and the SLAM team, maybe we need to keep that in the back of our minds.
Yeah, and it's a long stage, because it was never, I mean, obviously, if it were to stay up, and as that gets usage, we would need to find solutions to that. However, that's just going to get ramped up, and or the potential savings or places for that, or again, to work in coordination with the town in terms of, timelines where we currently have, we're sharing some spots at Asa Pond. When that transition happens, I'm not sure, or that clearing out. Again, just a consideration that I wanted to factor in.
We also want to keep in mind too, and it's almost like I'm dealing with this on multiple levels with my own home and living situations. We've had some things we're navigating, and it's an opportunity maybe to reorganize and reduce what we have, because we've had South Road School, we've had Wakefield Elementary School, we've had Curtis Corner, and the opportunity to just fill it with stuff just because we have it there, it may not always be the best usage of our stuff and space. So it is an opportunity. There's nothing better than a good purge every once in a while. So now there, of course, also are things that we need in those spaces. We want to make sure we do have housing for it, but it gives us an opportunity to purge a little, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I just want to bring up just another point. If we got a situation when we had some inclement weather, and mainly I'm talking about thunder and lightning, where we had to cancel or suspend a game, if we did demolish everything, we don't have any place. The opposing team could go on their bus. Our home kids, we wouldn't have a space for them. So that's just something that again, that's a rarity. It's happened probably twice in my career that I've been here, that we've had to suspend a game, put the kids in the Curtis Corner, wait a half an hour and bring them back out. So it's just in the back of our minds. I think we just need to think about that too. And I agree with the demolition, but it's just, I don't know if there can be a building built or whatever, they can put those kids there.
May I ask if the administrative building would be an option for that? Because just keep in mind that the condition that this building would be left in would not be occupiable. So from a code perspective, we would not be able to utilize it for people.
Okay, so that's something that we'd have to talk. Yes, that would be viable. There'd be some dirty kids in there, but that's...
Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, if in an emergency situation, you could stick them in the corridors in that building. But so I guess it gives us an opportunity, fully demolishing it, to, like I said before, kind of go out, do kind of a planning view of where we could site your eventual storage / whatever the program requires into that building, and site it, and actually do a nice layout, and then include those base utilities capped off, but just in that area. So if there was an opportunity for the boosters or somebody else to bring in money, or we save ridiculous amounts of money on this project and have a couple million sitting on the side, or the town council wants to bring something, it gives us the opportunity early in the project to get it placed in the right location with the right support utilities.
Agreed. Thank you. So that brings us back to item 6, discussion update. Any new updates around the South Kingstown High School project?
We have some pretty exciting updates. I'm going to skip ahead to the pictures, and then I'll let Mark do the talking, but we are vertical. and this is a pretty exciting part of the project. So I'm going to skip straight ahead to the good stuff, and then we'll go back to some of the sequencing and activities. Justin has pulled together some helpful visuals and understanding the sequencing of steel erection, where we're working now, and kind of how we'll be moving throughout the building. So, Mark, I'll let you take the glory.
Can we go to the drawing with the sequencing on, just real quick, just so we can get a visual? Yeah, perfect. Okay, so real quick, we'll just start off here just for a visual for everybody before we get to the actual picture. So don't get lost into the sequence numbers and the dates and all that kind of stuff. Just kind of look at those pretty colors. The area on the left, 1, 2, and 3, that's the academic tower. That is where we've started, and in the pictures that you're about to see, that's where you'll see the steel going up. We are at a point now where we've completed it, at least floor levels 2 and 3, not the roof. So you'll see, if you look at it outside or in the pictures, the roof itself isn't on yet. That's going to happen at a future sequence or a future phase very soon, but it's not up yet. And then yesterday we moved over to take care of areas 4 and 5 to start that work. They're working on that starting today. Areas 4 and 5 area 4 is kind of the cafeteria, I guess, for a visual, and 5 kind of bleeds into the cafeteria a little bit, and then turns into the electrical room and other kind of areas. So that's where we are. So I guess we can get out of this now and go to those pictures. There we go. So yeah, all 3 of these slides are different views and different stages of the academic tower going up. As I mentioned, you can see floors 2 and 3 erected, and then at the top of those columns, nothing up there yet. That's going to be the roof steel and eventually the roof decking and whatnot. So we are, like I had mentioned, we're pretty much done on level 2. We actually have all the decking on level 2. So we're going to be, there's still a lot of work to do. So when you look at these pictures, you're like, oh wow, it's up and it's ready to go. It's up, but it's not ready to go. So there's a lot of bolts that still got to get put in. There's a lot, we haven't started welding yet. You got to tack that decking down. There's a whole lot couple of weeks left to what they call detailing. So that's going to, and then inspections occur as you're detailing. So the inspectors will be coming out and checking on bolts and welds and et cetera, et cetera. So looks great, but there's still a little ways to go before it's 100% done. But yeah, so we can move along.
So, Mark, will the sequence of the concrete pours will match the sequence of the steel construction?
Yeah,
okay.
So the first floor to be done is the second floor on the academic tower. That would be our first pour, and then it would be the third floor on the academic tower, and then we would move into those areas 4 and 5 and just keep working our way west to east, which is the game plan. So a couple more pictures here. On the left is just that same area. One in the middle just gives you a view of the crane in action. That was the first crane setup. There's multiple crane setups that are going to occur throughout. We've moved it twice since that picture there to be able to reach various areas. Area on the right's just kind of showing a staircase we built from a safety standpoint so that guys aren't just jumping off of the high foundation to get to the bathroom, which is not in this picture. But so we built a couple of staircases for them just from a safety standpoint. All right, that's it for pictures. It's kind of our update in the field. I'm sure everybody here has probably driven by it and seen it, along with the town. So yeah, it's exciting. Things are moving very well out in the field. It's very cold, but the guys haven't skipped a beat. We had that snowstorm. We were able to clean up and continue on and haven't skipped a beat. So knock on wood, it stays that way, and Mother Nature takes care of us a little bit easier than she has to date.
And it's pretty interesting too, because now you can see the building from the 3rd floor of the Karn High School. So when you look out the window, you can actually see it. So that's the first time that's been the case. So it's pretty interesting and fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the lighting, future lighting once we've done?
We can, as long as we're fitting within Kate's time frame.
We got 3 minutes.
So real quick, in the future, so as the steel gets up, and this is down the road, and I don't want to get too deep into it for this discussion yet, just as an FYI. As the steel goes up and the concrete's poured, at that point, from a safety standpoint, again, for Gilbane, OSHA, everything, the site gets lit up at that point with temporary lighting. So once the electricians can work off of concrete floors and hang things off of the steel, there'll be a lot of those like yellow temporary lights maybe that you've seen at other construction jobs throughout the whole footprint of the building. So just something for us to discuss in the future. Again, we're putting together some pictures of past projects that we can present to show what the look is going to be for that. But again, that's a safety issue, and that's something that we really can't get away from. So something to think about in the future. Again, maybe with flyers or getting ahead of it, just FYI.
Because that lighting stays on.
That lighting will stay on, yep, until the building has a roof and all the walls are enclosed, and there's still lighting on in there, but you don't see it anymore because it's enclosed. But until we get to that point, it's something that you're going to see day in, day out, night in, night out.
So we just need to prepare everybody who answers a phone. There's going to be complaints.
There's going to be lights.
But your candle foot doesn't really, it's not projecting
No,
out.
it's not a
meant to
sideways out, it's not a
vertically
point.
light the site.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Any questions for Gilbane on this? Awesome. Do we have any updates around Curtis Corner other than what we've already discussed?
We talked about the demo timeframe, and the only other few milestones we should be tracking is going to be, we do have schematic design coming up for the fields that we'll be looking for approval on. We had targeted the 19th, but also realizing that that is school break and if we're going to have a meeting or not. This is also something we'll likely want to bring in front of the school committee as well. So we've identified a few approval timeframes for our fields because they are coming up pretty quickly. So we're going to put those on everybody's radar.
Okay, I sent you an email, but it was 15 minutes before this meeting, so you're forgiven if you didn't get it. I do think that we should also present to the town council at the same time. I know it doesn't require their approval, but to ensure that we're in lockstep with the school committee on information.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll be there with multiple other presentations, so we'll include this as well.
Okay, so we will have an issue with the 19th as an approval option that whole week. Anybody involved with the school will be on break. We school committee will meet on the 24th. Town meets on the 23rd that week. So we're going to have to come up with a solution.
Kate, is it plausible for us to meet at this time next Thursday to do that?
On the 12th?
Yeah.
We will not have documentation prepared. I won't speak for Phil, who's not here, but that's cutting his time frame a little short with estimating and us being able to do a review of the drawings and estimates before we put them in front of you guys. Could we do a morning of the 23rd, like the 8 a.m. on the Monday before we go to council?
I believe it's possible. But I don't have a problem with it. Clearly, we will need a quorum, and also we will need an agenda posted for school committee and town council ahead of time.
Yeah, so we'll need think about this, we'll need it the Wednesday before. So we'll need the agenda set by the 18th. All right. And the room is open, yes, logistically, yes. Monday morning after the school vacation for these guys, I guess. Just remember that we have a meeting if...
Yeah. From that standpoint, it's fine. I mean, it gives me time to get the kids in the building, get things situated, and then come over here.
We can do can we do 8:30? Would 8:30 be better?
Either one of those would be
Okay.
fine. It's like, I just wouldn't want it earlier than that because I do want to make sure everything's running smoothly before leaving the building.
course, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll plan for a very short, very brief agenda meeting for February 23rd at 8 o'clock here, just for this agenda item. 8 a.m.
And Kate, just for your knowledge, we've moved over to a new agenda management software, and I told Terry that I would educate her on it. I'm going to schedule that training, but if you prepare, I'm going to have her do that agenda in that new platform, so it'll be on the town calendar. 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. And then after that, the next full business meeting would be March 5th. So, question around timing. As a group, do we prefer the morning? Do we prefer the evening? We typically had it in the evening so that community members could join and no community members join. So I don't mind the morning, but I don't want to speak for the rest of the committee, though I'm seeing some heads nod. Does that work? Early? I mean, I like the 8 o'clock. All right, so as of right now, is it okay if we switch to the 8 a.m.?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's the best to make the quorum work.
Yep.
And so it's more important that we stay on time and on budget,
Yes.
right? So,
Okay, so March 5th, so as far as your town calendar goes, on March 5th, we'll plan for our next school building committee meeting, full meeting, to be March 5th at 8 o'clock.
okay.
All right. That was worth going 4 minutes over. I would open up for community comment. We don't have any community members here. And does it work for the project team? Now that
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome.
Sure does.
Love it. I like the smile. And so that takes care of item 9, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone
Aye.
opposed? All right, this meeting adjourns at 8:50.